let you, don't wanna let you go. Let go, don't wanna let you, don't wanna let you go. Let go, let go. All right. Good evening and welcome to the VANNguard Show. Thank you so much for those who are tuning in on your Saturday. It is cold outside, and I want to give a special acknowledgement to my guest, State Representative LaShawn Ford.
Well, thank you very much.
We don't have the so I'll do it. Encore. So thank you so much for coming in on this cold night. I appreciate you. So for you all who don't know, the VANNguard Show is normally on Wednesdays, but I had to do a special show. Yeah, so you special. You got me out here in the cold and on the day I don't come out. This better be good.
It better be good.
You better give
Lord.
me right. We gotta go back into prayer. All right. So listen, this show is all about community. It's all about politics on the right side, and it's all about truth. So, although I have questions here, all my guests know I will deviate if we're having a very good conversation. So, just flow with me with your wonderful personality that I've already seen. Now, everyone is going to see it, and let's just get into it.
Let's go.
All right. So, for those who don't know you, who is LaShawn Ford?
Well, I am, first of all, I'm a God-fearing man, and I'm very proud of my love for God. I'm proud of my love for my daughter. She's a 21-year-old. And
okay, so what's her name? Shout her out.
Her name is Tia.
Hey, Tia.
And she's probably going to be watching if she see me going live. I don't go live too often. And so she's going to be a teacher.
Oh, wow.
I'm a teacher by profession, as well as a business person and a politician.
You wear a lot of hats.
Yes.
So were you born and raised in Chicago?
I was born in Chicago. I was born on the north side.
On
what
the
they
north
call
side.
Cabrini Green.
No.
Yeah, that area that's no more.
Were you in the whites or the reds?
Reds.
Get out of town.
You too?
Good times. Temporary layoff. Good.
Easy.
Come on. All right. That's one of my favorite songs, by the way. It was so much truth in that song.
That show. What about Moving On Up?
Moving on up
to the
east side. Okay, y'all.
Yes.
Clearly, singing is not, my better suit, but I think I could sing, so no one can tell me any differently. So, the Reds. Wow. The reason why I got excited about that because I used to work for Chicago Housing Authority, and I did the plan for transformation. And I was a part of instrumental part of actually removing those buildings and redeveloping the mixed finance communities that are there now.
So there was a show. Was that you that they played? You remember that show?
Was it a town hall meeting and that was me?
Yeah.
So that was but yes.
Okay.
So I used to host and facilitate the town hall meetings, get the residents ready to move, close those buildings. I could not leave until the last resident was moved, and I would make sure that they were safely relocated into a community that they wanted or close to it with a Section 8 voucher, and also make sure they had the right to return.
Well, that was the concern, is that they get a right to return. Under
my watch, all the residents I touched, they wanted to come back. They came back, and I made sure that they were not going to live under slum landlord rules and housing under my watch.
Thank you.
So I end up doing Cabrini, Loudoun Homes, Trumbull Park, Ida B. Wells, Stateway.
Wow.
Robert Taylor. I was all over the place.
So were you appointed?
No, I worked there as a relocation project manager.
Okay.
So yeah, I was in the streets.
Okay. That's why people know
on
you.
The grounds. I mean, I love that. So I wish I would have met you sooner.
Yes. Well, in due time, right?
Full circle.
I mean, it was great to meet you. I mean, of course, I knew of you and knew of your work, but to meet you doing your work on the west side of Chicago, I think it was for veterans.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for joining me on that. That's one of the reasons why I'm happy you're on this show, because what I see from you, and I can't say in comparison to other candidates, I can only go by you, is that I see you very present. Whenever I'm out, I see you for the
Yeah.
most part. There was one day I think we saw each other like 3 times,
It
and then
was
one
amazing.
day,
I'm like, now I see you every day.
like
Yes.
everywhere,
Yep.
because you're so engaged in
Yeah.
the community, and that's what I hear about you. Like, you are truly engaged in the community. You care.
Yeah.
They're not just constituents, they are, extended family
They-
members. Like, that's how you look at everyone you represent. And
yeah.
that's the rep you have.
You have to be the vanguard if you are elected. The
Yeah,
community elect you to be the vanguard for them.
absolutely.
And I'm gonna tell you, there's no one else in the race that could say that when there was COVID, they were there. When there's flooding, they were there. When George Floyd was killed, they were there out front. When Laquan McDonald was killed, they were there. I was there every time our community needed someone to be the voice and uplift their voices. I could truly say that the Lord made a way for me to be out there.
And what is that about you? What is that drives you for you to be there? Because a lot of people have the opportunity and the option to be there, but they may not. So what is it about you that makes you go the extra mile?
Like I think I got elected and I ran to get elected to actually be the one that go for trouble where our people need us. So it's automatic. It's an automatic trigger for me. If the people are in trouble, I go. And
Huh.
because being an elected official, many times people have their perception of what an elected official should be doing. But one of the greatest, um, I think, values of the elected official is to be the voice of the community and to uplift their voice when there's time for their voice to be uplifted. Like I said, 50 schools closed by Rahm Emanuel there. When you talk about the substance use problems, the people dying from opioids,
Yep, absolutely.
fentanyl, there. We're doing it. We're in the streets like you, making sure that we're not ignored as a community.
I love that. What you didn't mention, and I'm going to mention it, is that you are a strong advocate of small businesses and workforce development, and particularly minority-owned
Mm-hmm.
businesses. Um, and that's kind of been your focus. So let me ask you a question. At the federal level, if elected, how will you ensure economic development benefits for minority-owned businesses will continue to be an option and not just designated just for larger contractors?
I'm gonna tell you, you're right, because I got elected in 2000. I got sworn in 2007, and there were 100 and I would say 100 general assemblies that had met before I got there. And there was not a small business workforce development committee. I established that committee because I knew that small businesses needed to have a voice and a seat at the table so that the government knows what they need and how to help them provide, because small businesses provide more jobs than the big boxes. And I understood that, and I still understand it. And in order to grow our communities, you have to have the ability for startup businesses and for current businesses to expand and grow. And that takes capital. And that means that the federal government has to have a plan to lend money to help small businesses thrive. Our banks in our community are probably, for the most part, beautiful structures, and they're lovely for people to be able to go and make deposits in the bank. But banks are supposed to be there to help communities grow,
That's
help
absolutely
businesses
correct.
grow, help people buy property in those neighborhoods. And what we know is that the CRA, the Community Reinvestment Act, has no teeth in it, where banks are required to lend to qualified buyers in those neighborhoods. I mean, there are qualified buyers in communities that can't borrow from the banks in their neighborhood. So we fought and we fight for banks to come in our neighborhoods, but we need them to reinvest with us in our neighborhood. So we have to make sure that we change the way banks lend to communities. And then we have the Small Business Administration. I mean, why are they there when you can't use them? And the challenges of the red tape of going through the Small Business Administration will run anybody away.
Absolutely correct.
I don't know how many people do you know use the SBA to expand and grow their business?
I don't know, not one actually.
Right.
I mean, I've heard that they have wonderful loans, low interest loans for small businesses. Um, but I don't know of anyone who's actually been able to take advantage of those small business loans.
Now that's a shame.
And the only thing I can honestly refer back to where the SBA was kind of more involved in front facing was during the pandemic.
Right.
Right. But outside of that,
See that? So they could do it. You see how easy it was
yeah.
for the SBA to help small businesses stay afloat. But that took a pandemic. And we haven't seen the SBA work with communities like that ever.
So now we're gonna. This is where I deviate because I got questions, but this is good.
Yes.
So tell me what that looks like for the average business owner trying to start their t-shirt business, right? Let's just keep it very simple and realistic and relatable. I'm trying to start my t-shirt business. I'm on the west side. I don't really know much about no CRA. I have no idea what you're talking about. But I know you, LaShawn, and I've seen you work, but now you're in Congress because you're elected now. How can I be assured that you're going to have that small business, that t-shirt small business in mind when you're in DC? How does that trickle down to me?
That's when you have to have the relationships with financial institutions. And when you're elected in Congress, you have the relationships. I used to chair financial institutions in Springfield, and it's very difficult for state government to force and even strongly encourage financial institutions to invest and reinvest in communities because we have no authority. The federal government has authority. And it's important that you have the relationships with the banks and hold them accountable when you change the CRA and make it where banks have to lend in communities. The CRA was created for banks to reinvest in those neighborhoods. And what they're using them for right now is a bank could open up in this community and they could just open up bank accounts and they could meet their CRA requirement. Opening up bank accounts in a community and minority communities can help them meet their CRA. And that's not enough. I mean, they don't even have to make loans for homes. And so we have to fight the banks and make sure that they understand that they will do better if they make it possible for communities to have a place to go. You know, like the old community banking. That's what we have to bring back.
So let's switch up the topic and then we're going to come back full circle. Let's talk about gun violence. We know that Chicago has one of the highest rates for gun violence. I mean, it's been on trailing down. So let's be very clear on that. I think that there's a huge misconception that Chicago is this Chirac and it's just horrible when we know that there's been a lot of great changes in Chicago that has not been noted, right? With you, let's say you're elected and you go to the federal government, you're representing us. Can you tell us what type of federal policies would you advocate for that are different from the current approaches that can help to reduce crime while protecting civil liberties?
Well, you know, I think that the Second Amendment is important and people have a right to carry and bear arms. It's the constitutional right for them. But what we have a problem at is when we don't have a national registry where people actually have to register their weapons in a national database. That becomes a problem for states that have strong gun laws. And we all suffer from border states like Indiana, where people could cross the border, go to gun shows, purchase guns without registering them, and bring them back to Illinois. Illinois has some very strict gun laws, and I have to say that they're strict, and some would say that they punish law-abiding citizens because they're so strict. And yet, that's not going to stop the um, gun violence in our streets, because you have people buying illegal guns. You have people going across the border, straw purchasing. So we need a national registry to make sure that people could register those guns. We also should make sure that we have a multi-state compact if we can't get a national registry where our border states will make sure that we communicate. I mean, Wisconsin, Indiana, they should be able to communicate with us and let us know that someone from your state came and purchased a gun, and they would be in the registry. Now, I think that's necessary, because the fact that anybody could go purchase a gun and use it as a straw purchase and pass it off to criminals on the street is dangerous for all of us. People that have the capacity to buy because they are not felons, and they could go purchase, um, they their rights are I would say is hindered, because you have people that's doing wrong by the law. And so we need to make sure that the Second Amendment is actually um, is protected, and that people that are law abiding don't have to suffer for the whole for a few bad actors.
Okay. So here's another hot topic, Medicaid.
Oh, yes.
So, and I think in your area, you have about 244,000 people on the
Yes.
average that are on Medicaid. And with the uncertainty of federal government and the funding of Medicaid, why don't you tell me, if elected, how are you going to protect Medicaid, particularly for our underserved communities? I'm talking about mom and
Yeah.
grandma, and they need the Medicaid. There's people on dialysis. They may have private insurance, but they need the offset of that Medicaid to help with dialysis. And I know that personally because my mother was on dialysis, and even though she, you know, had private insurance, she also ended up needing Medicaid as well because dialysis is so expensive. So I'm speaking to like the everyday
Yeah.
person. If elected, state rep, you'll be in Congress,
Yes.
you'll be in DC, you're our voice, you're our advocate. What are you going to do differently? I know you can't change the world,
Right.
but let's talk about some policies that, even if it's innovative, haven't been thought of yet. Let's talk about those type of policies that you can at least put on the floor so that we'll know that you're advocating for us.
Well, I think it's important, one, that we recognize that President Obama did something that no other president was able to do, and that is get Medicaid for people that ordinarily wouldn't qualify. So that's important that we protect that. That's under attack right now. And in fact, the fact that this administration and Republicans allowed for the healthcare subsidy to expire sets us back before Obamacare was the law of the land. And so we have a structure in place right now to make sure that we could have people that are poor have health insurance and access to healthcare. I think that the fight is for us to have a healthcare system that's affordable, healthcare for all. And I would join and continue to fight with all the advocates that are pushing for healthcare for all. Let me tell you, I was a Bernie Sanders delegate that believed that healthcare should be free in America, and it should be. We are in the richest nation And there's no reason for people to not be able to have access to health care. It's one thing to have insurance, but it's another thing to have access, non-biased health care for people. And so definitely going to be constantly making sure Illinois has money to fund our Medicaid program. Because if Illinois loses federal money, we can't pay for Medicaid in this state. And so it's not just Medicaid individuals that we have to worry about. That's why we have to have a health care system in place that will protect everyone with a health system that they can afford, because you have business people that don't qualify for Medicaid.
Oh, that's a really, thank you for bringing that
Right?
up, because we're talking, thank you, because a part of the issue is also small businesses who
Yes.
cannot afford insurance for their employers, or their
Yes.
employees rather. So what are we doing about that? How does that, how can you support those? Because I know you're all about workforce development and
That's
small
right.
businesses. So how can you help to support the overall cost when it comes to that?
We need the public option, single payer, something in America to make sure that everyone has a pool that they could be in so that healthcare is affordable. We almost had the public option, which would have made everyone have access to health insurance in America. But Joe Lieberman, he was the only holdout, and he was an independent voter at the time when President Obama needed him. And no Republican voted for health care, for Obamacare, for the ACA. And we needed that one person to make the vote for the public option. That would have given us the health system that we needed to build on. And so we definitely will be fighting with the coalitions that are for healthcare for all and access to healthcare. And I think that when you talk about businesses, also our health system is a place where we can actually create opportunities, not just um, having access to healthcare, but those are contracts and opportunities for our communities to have the ability to go in and work in the medical field, have contracts at hospitals and medical centers. And we're going to open that up as a congressperson, because the 7th congressional district has 23 health centers in it. We will get contracts for our small businesses with those entities so that they could create wealth for their families and reinvest in our communities.
I need you all to really hear what he just said. He literally said that I have the small businesses on my heart and on my mind. And I have a plan by which to go and make sure that we are protecting you all, that funding is available, and that we're advocating for equity with small businesses.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Because I don't know if people really understand how much of a fight that is, and that you're taking it to a federal level
Oh, yeah.
where the money is at, right?
Yeah.
And so you all need to really, when you're voting, think about these type of conversations, and then anyone you're voting for, do your research, but in addition to doing the research, make sure you hold them accountable.
That's right.
And he's been doing the work. So you've seen it, tried, true, and tested. So now let's continue to support him and hold you
Hold
accountable,
me
if
accountable.
you're elected or when you're elected. Let's keep it moving.
Can I tell you something about
Yeah.
holding accountable?
Come on, let's go.
My barber always say, what we have to do is stop electing them and leaving them.
That is good. Hashtag that.
Yes.
Stop electing them and leaving them.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna make a note of that.
Yeah, you should. I think he'll be proud. Herb would
Well,
love
what's
for
his
you.
name? Give him a
Herb,
shout out.
Herb, I just used your line. Stop electing them and leaving them.
And I hope you didn't copyright that, because I'm about to use it.
I think you can do it.
All right. So we're gonna continue on these hot topics, and then we're gonna, get more into who you are. So you said you were a teacher.
Yes.
You were a former teacher, and I believe that once you're a teacher, you're always a teacher.
That's right.
What subject did you teach?
I started out teaching all the subjects, but then I ended up teaching social studies at the
Perfect.
junior high level.
Perfect intro to where I'm going.
Yes.
And that wasn't planned. Let's talk about how this current administration is doing everything in its power to remove certain aspects of our American history, particularly Black history in America. I want you to tell me, number one, how that makes you feel as a former teacher who taught social studies, right? And then, secondly, I want you to tell me, if elected, what type of federal policies, legislation that you will put forth to protect educators who believe in teaching all of American history.
Yeah. The advantage of, states have rights as far as the educating their students. So as a state representative now, I have a great relationship with the General Assembly. I have a great relationship with the city council. Those are places that I could support to make sure that we, one, bring resources back so that they can fund their educators to make sure that we have accurate history taught in our schools. I actually called for years ago for a pause in history teaching in our schools. People didn't understand why, but let me tell you, the fact that you have history books that call mixed people mulattoes, that's horrible. The fact that you have history books that our kids are learning from actually making slavery look like it was not as bad as it was is bad. So the I think as a congressperson, I think that we can definitely work on a national level to work with um, the he actually we got to start back up the Department of Education. That's a fact because he closed that down. So as a congressperson, you have to get that back open as well because we need to reinstitute what you call textbooks. The textbooks that we have right now are horrible. They are not accurate, and they do more damage to America than good. I mean, our history books actually make one race superior over the others.
It absolutely does. And it's been that way. It's called systemic
It
racism.
is, you know.
So when we're talking about systemic racism in our educational system, and I think that's divine definition of what systemic racism is our educational system.
Man, that it teaches all of us.
It teaches and it trains up our kids at such a young age to devalue themselves, especially Black and brown kids. I honestly don't know where the brown kids are in our books
Right.
besides Manifesto Destiny.
Yeah.
All right.
How did you feel when you had to learn history in class?
I felt awkward.
Yeah.
I felt less than.
Yes.
I felt that my only worth was at slavery, and that's the only thing I know. And I should be happy that I'm actually here and be thankful.
Mm.
And there's a void there, because it teaches you to be inferior.
Yes.
And then when you have the current administration that is defunding HBCUs,
Oh.
And trying to take away that particular funding because those HBCUs help to bring out the truth.
That's right.
And help to educate you for who you really are and get you ready to be successful in the world. When you have a current administration that is on a witch hunt for that, what would you do if elected? What would you do?
It's all about being.
How could you help HBCUs?
Oh, HU. I'm helping now. My daughter is at Howard.
And
and I believe in the power of the HBCUs. And the federal government has a responsibility to make sure that we continue to fund HBCUs. And I think that it's going to be our responsibility as Congress to energize HBCU students to lobby. We got to get money to those HBCU schools so that they could send their kids to descend upon the capital of Washington to lobby for money and to show our worth in America. I mean, these students are amazing. And I think that they should be invested in. And I think that we owe it to the HBCUs to support them and to make sure that they have what they need to be as great as they could be.
So, how did it make you feel? Because you asked me, but we're talking, and I'm about to deviate because I'm good at pivoting, right? Get these questions. Let's talk. How did it make you feel when you were learning about history as a Black man, as a young Black man? How did that make you feel? And even, I guess, going through high school, I don't know what college did you go to?
I'm glad you asked, because let me tell you what's amazing is I never was comfortable as a student when we got to history. I went to Catholic schools, predominantly white schools, my whole career in school. I went to Our Lady Helper Christians, then I went to Weber, all boys school, then Loyola. And those were predominantly white. And the history books that I actually studied from was not accurate, and it did not make me feel good. And now I would tell you that even the history that I taught out of the books when I was a teacher was incomplete. You had to do pullouts to teach more accurate history. I mean, you got to find, we might come up in a chapter or we might be in a subtext about something that we did. There's not a day that goes by in American history that we shouldn't be included in our contributions, but that's not reflected. And the only Black people that we can celebrate as Americans is Dr. King and a few others. That's something. Of course, we know that there are a lot of Black people that have made America the country that it is, and that has actually won freedoms for everyone.
Absolutely.
These people that have gained freedoms in America is taking a playbook out of our people's history. We
Absolutely.
Not only have we helped shape the country and build a country, but we actually help shape what it means to protest and fight for rights.
And you know what? You're right. And when you say we, I'm going to even narrow that down to say Black women.
Hey, ERA.
Black women have been on the front line, not only with our families and protecting our families, but protesting for our votes, to being out there advocating, to being educators, Big Mama House, you name it. Black women are the pillars of a community and often unprotected.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Tell me how you, in the position that you're in, will be able to, and I know you can't protect Black women in that respect, but then tell me, what would you do so that our voice is heard? How would you carry our voice to DC? Tell me what that looks like.
That means listening and uplifting the voice, not saying I know what a community wants. You listen to what that community wants. You have to make sure that you don't just, even as a man, I can't say that I know everything that a man wants. Everybody has their own desires and wants. So the best thing that you could do as an elected official is not assume, and you be available for the constituents, because people have visions. You have a responsibility as an elected official to help people fight for their vision. And that's what I believe. And that's what I've been doing for 19 years, helping people fight for their vision. And as long as you are willing to fight, you got me in the fight with you. No one could ever tell you that I left a fight with them.
So, and I'm gonna dig a little bit deeper because I don't have any other way but to be very transparent. And I do believe, and I say this all the time, there's strength and vulnerability. So, in my testimony, who better than me to tell my story than anyone else? So, when I was in labor giving birth to my son, I it seemed like I was invisible. And what I mean by that is that I didn't receive the proper care, the proper treatment. I was in excruciating pain, and I knew that I was opposed to the white woman in the other room. Um, it just seemed like they just didn't care. And you hear that a lot, that in the medical field, that black voices are often ignored. We're often mistreated. We're not all the time, but left to die. Sometimes black women don't make it out of childbirth. We pass. And we have a higher rate than any other woman passing during childbirth. And I know in your district you have a lot of hospitals there, and I know you plan on, building those coalitions. But when I say protect it, that's what I mean. But how can you protect us?
Yes.
Secondly, when it comes to daycare, you have a lot of women that are the head of the house, and they can't afford daycare, and they might be in between. And this is not just women with children. This is society,
Mm-hmm.
because we have to think about the classism, right? And the wealth gap. You have this stigma where either you make too much money
Mm-hmm.
for some of the services that you've advocated for,
Mm-hmm.
or you don't make enough money to be able to afford whatever the going rate is. And that's with childcare, that could be groceries, that could be rent, that could be any of those things. So, what I'm saying to you is that the middle class does not exist anymore, in my opinion. I think it's the half or half nots.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere in between there's the people that are barely making it. What kind of programs and or initiatives, policies that you have thought about you want to bring forth and help with that wealth gap? Because we do have,
Yeah.
LaShawn, we
Yeah.
have a significant amount of people who are need those services, but because they're not at the poverty level, in other words, they make more than 80% of the AMI, average median income, then now they don't qualify.
Mm.
So what are we doing for those folks in between?
Yeah. So let's talk first about that part about black women and the fact that they are not even protected in healthcare. And
Yeah.
there was a doctor that gave birth to women. She gave birth to women to kids, and she actually died in childbirth. I have to just recently she made sure that she protected women, and she actually died during childbirth. One of the things that has to happen, this is why it's important to fund HBCUs, because we have to grow our own doctors. We have to
There
grow.
you go.
Yes, we have to
Come on,
have
LaShawn.
competent, socially
This is
competent
what I'm
people.
talking about.
We need
Yes.
more black people in the
We need
profession.
more black doctors.
Yes.
Absolutely. Keep going.
And President Obama had in the Affordable Care Act a portion of it to fund healthcare professionals. That's eliminated. We have to grow our own doctors. We have what you call grow your own teachers. We need to grow our own doctors and professionals. Just recently, we had a family member. It was amazing because I was talking to my daughter about being black in the room. We have to have black people in every room, and you have a responsibility as a black person to make sure that black people are respected.
You know what? LaShawn, let me tell you something. Say that again for the people in the back that didn't hear you. Because let me tell you what you're saying to me. I'm translating as this. We need to make sure that we show up for each other,
We have to.
even in the spaces where your sister and brother may not be. You make sure that they are there too, and you're representing them. That means that if you're in a room and I'm not in that room, but you know I should be in that room, you're going to make sure that, hey, Victoria said, or this
That's
would be
right.
good for
That's
Victoria,
right. That's
right?
right.
And that is what we should do, and we don't do enough of.
Yes, we got to be our brothers and sister keeper. I'm gonna tell you. And when you have Black people, we had somebody that was actually on life support, and we had just had a conversation, my daughter and I said, you have to make sure you tell your friends that you graduate. When you guys get in these rooms, you got
What
to
is your
be there.
daughter majoring in, by
She's
the
going to
way?
be a teacher. And that's where she'll start out. And we were in the ICU, and when I tell you, the doctors were good, but the nurses were Black, and they showed us that they cared about our family member. They were looking at us, nodding at us, and they were talking to the doctors, telling the doctors that you're going to do right, literally. Now, maybe the doctors were busy, preoccupied, but those people actually felt that they needed to protect our family member. And I'm telling you, they felt connected to my daughter and me and at that time. And I would tell you, if it wasn't for those Black people in that intensive care unit, we would have lost our loved one.
Mm.
And that is the truth. And they actually said that they just won't listen to me, but they fought for our Black loved one.
That is so powerful, because if people would begin to realize that we do need representation
Yeah.
everywhere, not only in the medical field, but in the business, in
Schools.
schools, banking industries, everything, and everything that you mentioned today was one trending thought: the lack of representation.
Yes, VANNguard. Let me. I
You
mean,
say
let me.
VANNguard? That's okay. Keep
Yeah.
saying VANNguard Show, VANNguard Show, VANNguard Show.
Because guess what? If you don't have someone at the bank in the room where the underwriters are sticking up for you, you ain't getting the loan.
Talk about it.
If you don't have someone, in that police station making sure that you don't get charged for something that they know that you didn't do, you gonna get charged. If you don't have someone in the state's attorney office saying you can't indict that person on that, that's not right, we're gonna get indicted because we are the minority. And just I gotta get to the child care, but I also want you to know how damaging the miseducation of white people are. I know there's a
Oh, that's
miseducation
good.
of
Let's
the
go.
Negro,
But let's talk about
but
that.
the miseducation of the white person is dangerous because remember, they're writing the movies and that controls the mind. They're
Absolutely.
writing the music, they're writing the books, and everything that they control, the news,
Absolutely.
it controls the way we think and see one another. And that's why getting history right, making sure no one feels inferior of another or someone feeling superior over someone else is so important. So it starts with education. And if you have a miseducated person, that child becomes a parent. And that's how it continues.
So, do you think it's even possible to be patriotic and know the full history of America?
Absolutely. I mean, I know that the thing about you can't be patriotic if you don't believe in what America stands for. So when I see racist people that could stand in line with the Ku Klux Klan carrying the American flag, they ain't patriotic. They're un-American.
Oh, okay, let's go. Now let's break it down,
Yeah.
because there is a misconception about what is patriotic and what is un-American. Tell me, what is patriotic to you and what is un-American?
Trump is un-American. Patriotic is someone that's going to hold America accountable for what's promised to people. That's what patriotic is. You're going to believe in our democracy, and you're going to hold our democracy accountable. That's being patriotic. Patriotic is not just loving the flag and saying, I pledge allegiance to the flag. Patriotic is making sure that we respect our veterans and make sure that we recognize that they fought to protect us and to secure our freedom. That's patriotic. But when you have someone that disrespects what America is supposed to be, that's unpatriotic. You might as well be a part of the Confederacy. Trump is a Confederate. He ain't no American president, in my opinion. His views align with the Confederacy, not with the Union.
Let's now
the Union ain't been great to us, so I don't think that I'm saying that this has been a perfect union. Right. We strive to be a more perfect union, but I would tell you that the path that the president is going is not striving for a more perfect unified union. I think he's striving to take us back to the Confederacy.
And on this campaign trail, I'm sure you've had to have these conversations, and very uncomfortable conversations, but sometimes uncomfortable conversations speak the truth in its rawest form, and it makes those uncomfortable, and that's okay. Because what you have to stand on is your principles. And that's what I'm hearing here is your principles, your unshaken values.
Yes.
Right? Let's talk about the wealth gap.
Yes. Glad you went back to it.
I told you I pivot.
Yes.
So let's talk about that, because in today's times, and I'm going to tell you personally, I work for the federal government and I was furloughed. Mm-hmm. And when I was furloughed, I literally was like, oh my God. Right now, I could pivot because I've been taught how to pivot. And Black people have been taught how to survive, to be honest with you. So I was able to make sure, my son was okay and I was okay. But that doesn't mean the stress and just the feeling of not knowing if you're going to have employment when you come back. And that's when if you come back, and that's when you really begin to see firsthand, for me, the wealth gap. There's people every day that feels like they're living in furlough, where they don't know if they're going to have a job day to day. They're barely making it. And a lot of these people, contrary to popular belief, are educated people that are strapped with student loans. I hear it all the time. I went to UIC, I went to University of Chicago, I went to wherever it is, and I want to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. I hear that a lot. But the salary and these student loans and the cost of living is not working for me. And I don't have any other resources. I can't take advantage of all these other programs that my taxes are going to. So with you on a campaign trail, and if you're elected, tell me at a federal level, how are you going to help mend that wealth gap? And I'm not talking about for the folks who are underserved. I'm not saying, but they have programs, but what about the other people that are just the backbone of America, which are the taxpayers that are working every day, but the ends are not meeting?
This is where it becomes an American problem and not just a Black,
absolutely
white. It's all of our problems, except the top earners in this country. And they're not even earners. They just get money handed to them, like Elon Musk. He just gets money contracts from the president, and he's going to be probably the first trillionaire. Maybe Trump would be the first trillionaire, because they're taking all of our money and they're shifting the wealth. So this is where the fight has to be. And as I said, remember before, I said I was a Bernie Sanders delegate. So I have been fighting for years to stop the wealth gap, because it's only making a few people rich. And when you have a few people rich, they not only control the wealth, but they control everything in America. They control the TVs, the radios. They control what people eat and what people watch and they control the narrative, they control policy, they control everything that goes on in America. So we have to have a major fight for making sure that we slow the wealth gap, and not talk about a minimum wage, but talk about a living wage for people so that they have opportunities to be in the middle class. You talked about the middle class disappearing, but guess what? You talked about people in college. College should be affordable, if not free, in America.
It should be free.
Right.
So I'm gonna need you to work on that.
The
Okay.
Bernie Sanders delegate, let me tell you, how you leave college
Listen,
not
LaShawn,
ready.
no one's watching.
Okay.
No one's watching. It's just me and you.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. If you don't help with these student loans,
Yeah, that's right.
I'm trying to tell you on a serious note, like college should be free. Healthcare should be free.
That's right.
Why are you charging us to, number one, go and get educated so that we can grow the economy?
That's right. That's why some people just skip. We're missing out on innovators in this country because they rather not go away to college just to be saddled with debt when they graduate, to say that they could make $30,000-$40,000.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I'm talking about.
And you can't, I'm a real estate broker, and you have people that actually have a degree, a law degree, saddled with debt, can't afford to buy a house because the debt to income ratio is off.
I'm a realtor too, so
you understand. You've seen it.
Absolutely.
So it's, the fight has to be a unified front. And I would say people that live in rural parts of this country, rural parts of Illinois, take a look in the mirror and realize that you can't afford to be divided from Black people and brown people. This is a fight that we must fight together, because you have a president and a Republican Party that don't care about you, just like they don't care about us. The greatest thing that you have going for you in this country is that you have the white skin that you hide behind as a person, even in poverty. But you have to understand that we're in this together.
I agree, because one thing I always say is poverty does not discriminate.
It doesn't.
And so it doesn't matter what race you're in or whatever the case, none of that matters, because at the end of the day, it really does come down to education, access to education, equity, and then number one, wealth. So let me kind of paint a picture really quickly. Hypothetically, is it possible that there could be a rework on the existing programs that are out there? For example, let's use something I'm familiar with. Let's go back to daycare. Okay. What is it called? Illinois Action for Kids.
Yeah.
All right. They have, certain income limits. If you make above $10 above that, you can't, take advantage of the child care subsidies. But I also have to go to work to be able to pay for daycare. So is there a way? And I'm because I know this is a lot of questions that people ask, and who's not into government or anything like that. So this is plain conversation, because I want everybody to understand. Is there a way that those rules can be changed where the income is increased? I mean, to offset that debt to income that you were talking about?
Absolutely.
So how would you, if elected and you are representing us, how would you help to change or modify some of those existing programs that actually work really well? It's just the income might be off a little bit.
Yeah, federally, you could change the poverty, the guidelines for poverty. That's one. But the fight has always been us fighting amongst ourselves for an increase of crumbs, instead of just saying, why are we constantly fighting the whole Americans back while we're not fighting the income inequality and stopping the contracts from going to Trump's friends, stopping the contracts to going to Elon Musk? That's robbing the everyday working people. That's why we don't have enough money to pay for healthcare, That's why we don't have enough money to fund childcare. That's why we don't have enough money to fund college, because we're giving that money to make trillionaires.
So how
So
do
we stop those contracts that's
okay.
going to the well connected. That's where the money's going. I mean, tax dollars are coming in. They're printing money, but guess who's getting those contracts?
Who?
Elon Musk and Trump friends. It's been the same with Bill Clinton friends. It's
Oh,
been the
okay.
same with other president friends that's gotten contracts. That government makes people rich.
I love your transparency and your honesty
It's true.
because you're speaking the absolute truth. And I'm glad that you're speaking it in such a way that everyone can understand. Because part of this show is for the everyday person.
Yeah.
This is for the community. And the community that not only votes, they're active, they're intelligent, they're listening, and they're saying, hey, thank you for being the voice.
We got to have
And
government
so
contracts for businesses.
but I was told that that's virtually impossible because if I could, as a small business owner, let's say, if I could barely be able to afford insurance for, my 3 employees, how am I going to possibly get a government contract? How do you make that more available?
Let me tell you,
Mhm.
government contracts, there's a difference in.
What is a government contract?
Right.
Too?
A government contract, you have what you call government non-for-profit grants that people are out trying to get. And you also have notice of funding opportunities and business contracts that people could get. You see people doing work on the highways.
Mhm.
Those are people that get contracts from the government. You have people that sell supplies to the prisons. Those are contracts that people could get. People sell supplies to state buildings, federal
So
buildings.
wait, I
These are
don't have to be a
contracts.
big business to do
No,
that
no.
because I see the people working on the highways, but I also see wash and I don't see a mom and wait, can a mom and pop or a small construction business be
It's very difficult to have with the rules of engagement. What we have to do as a community is collaborate and build capacity together.
Oh, so you're saying partner.
You have to partner so that you because the contracts are serious, and the state and the federal government, when they have these contracts that come out, they need to make sure that the job gets done, and they have to make sure that you have the capacity to do it. But there's going to always be potholes. We need
That is true.
pothole contracts. There's going to always be what you call people that have to paint the lines on the streets. It's always going to be contracts with the government. And no one in America could tell me that they didn't get wealthy without the government's help.
And here is where, so what state representative LaShawn, can I just call you LaShawn
Call me
for right now?
LaShawn.
Because that's a whole lot.
Mhm.
So what LaShawn is saying is, because you all listen, because it was a full circle. Now you notice that I was talking about the wealth gap. And I said, well, how can we just kind of increase the income limits? Maybe that'll help. LaShawn's response was, we need to figure out how we think bigger. That's what he was saying. Because at the end of the day, that's fine. But then now we're actually thinking small. We're thinking about crumbs. And then that's how we become crabs in the barrel. But why don't we break through with that? Let's figure out a way to partner. Let's grow the business idea you have. And then let's really get to where the wealth is really at.
Yeah.
Contracts, government contracts, grants, different resources. He also talked about SBA and where the problem was there. You are super focused on financial independence.
Yes. Let me tell you, there's no way the government funds hospitals with Medicaid. Your tax dollars pay the hospital. The hospitals have to go out and find someone to to supply them with all their needs. who well, that's how you create and you stop the wealth gap. It's not going to just stop because we fight. We stop it by how it's got there.
So you're like, so what you're saying is we have to be strategic in how we
Cut it
approach
off.
this.
Cut off those contracts that people have been getting for
Certain
years.
people have been getting for years and
Yeah.
open it up so it's more equitable.
Yep. Now
Right?
that's how you're going to stop it.
That's how you stop it and begin to close that gap.
Yes. It's not going to happen because you get $20 an hour or you start making $30 an hour, because you're still in the same position as you said. I can't afford to live. I still can't afford childcare because childcare, I might as well stay home because the inflation and everything that I have to pay for, the rent, the food, utilities, health insurance, I still can't afford it. We need real opportunities to grow wealth.
There you
And
go.
government could do it.
There you go. Thank you, because I was definitely fishing you and you ate the bait.
I'm ready.
And I'm glad you did, because that is what you want to hear when someone is running for such a critical office like this. We don't want politics as usual.
No.
And we don't want a repeat.
No.
So, and I'm leading Danny Davis, an amazing man.
Yes.
Has endorsed you 110%.
Yes.
Shout out to Congressman Danny Davis.
Big shout
I
out.
like you every single time I have a Juneteenth event. You try to make it. If you don't, you send your regards. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Congressman Danny Davis. That being said, my man been in office for years.
46 years, he would tell you.
46. He is a walk-in legend. But some of us, especially our millennials and new folk, who don't really understand what he has done and his contributions, because partially because of the school system we have, they don't really teach, which we talked about that. But a lot of the millennials are thinking, hey, we like LaShawn. He's very personable. He knows what he's talking about. But is he going to be another Danny Davis?
I think.
And so, and this is what they say, right? And what they mean by that is he's done great, but, and I'm translating it.
Yes.
He's done great, but how are you going to do better? When you take this baton and you move forward, how are you going to be more innovative and take it to the next level? Or are you still going to keep us along with what Danny Davis was doing, which is great.
Yeah.
But how do we move forward?
Well, we move forward by broadening and making sure that young people have a seat at the table. That's critical. You have to make sure that young people have a seat at the table. They're going to help write policy. They're going to help fight for what's necessary to help our communities grow. And, Congressman Davis would tell you, even in his campaigning for me, that LaShawn will take this job to levels that I've never took it to.
Like how?
I mean, you will see that there will be a lot of people engaged in this office that we have. We will unite the district in ways that I would say maybe wasn't. I mean, it's a challenge to get people engaged, but you have to have the political fight and will to get our young people engaged. I think it starts with making sure young people are listened to and engaged and have a constituent service office that will actually engage the young people. It starts with the young people helping this district grow. And they're going to help us help seniors. We can't forget about our seniors.
We cannot. And there is a intergenerational gap there.
Yes, we did this with my daughter, Victoria. We actually did my daughter hosted a Thanksgiving where they had an intergenerational bingo where they learned from the seniors and the seniors taught and learned from the young people. That's our goal, to make sure that we bring and uplift our Gen Zs and our millennials in this office that we're in. They are going to be leaders in this office that I have if elected Congress.
So you talk about the tables and you're talking about they're going to be leaders, which is great. Love to hear that. But let's go ahead and put some teeth in that meat. Tell me, what tables should the youth be at, number one? Because how do you even get started in that? What do we do? How do you how do you get the youth or our young people interested in public service?
Well, you have to have agendas that make their life affordable, make them have the will to go to college and the ability to afford college. They have to be able to afford to live. And so you have to make sure that they are part of the fight for affordability. That's affordability for college, affordability for their lifestyles. But you have to engage them in voter participation. I know that people will say, well, they don't want to vote because they don't think this government works for them.
And they're like, this doesn't none of the not only does it not work for me, um, it doesn't matter. It's not going to go anywhere because it's going to be the same people elected. You tell us what you want us, what you think we want to hear, and then you disappear and you come back again when it's time for
Yeah,
reelection.
that won't happen. I've been in office 19 years and I've engaged my millennials and my Gen Zs, and they've helped write public policy. They've marched and they've helped us pass public policy in Springfield. In fact, I actually passed public policy for young people to have what you call free test prep. Free test prep. So if you are trying to be a teacher, be a doctor, be a lawyer, I actually work with the young people to have free test prep so that they could get their license when they graduate or start enrolling into school. They also worked with our young people to make sure that I funded what you call early action on our college campuses with NAMI to make sure that young people have access to mental health and behavioral health
Oh,
support. This
that's
is
critical.
their work.
Mhm.
I've been working with the young people on voter participation. Chicago Votes. I've been working with them, making sure that young people participate in our democracy, and they've led the charge in helping people in our state prisons vote. Getting them engaged and listening to them is the way they will participate in shaping our democracy. Right now, I don't think that we listen to them enough. We tell them what we want them to know, and we don't ask them to join the tables. Every table they should be at. How are you going to write new textbooks without young people being at the table? How are you going to talk about college affordability without young people being at the table? How are you going to talk about helping seniors when you don't have young people at the table that have grandmothers and great grandmothers? They know what they need from a government to help them take care of their grandmother, to take care of their sick relative. So they have to be a part of this process. And in our country, the greatest advancements have always been led in this country by young people.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, speaking of young people and education, what type of classes do you think would be beneficial in certain school systems where we are taught to be consumers and not entrepreneurs? What type of classes you think, even if it's not creative, but that would work to kind of change the mindset from consumers to entrepreneurs? For example, should there be a class about trading, day trading in public schools? I mean, I've heard that they're in the suburban schools.
Hmm.
What about, and I heard you all, so I don't need you to come back and be like, that's not true. I heard, it's hearsay. But let's just say that's the case. And there's financial literacy classes being taught in high schools and even in elementary schools that are not being taught in other schools. What classes do you think should be incorporated in the curriculum moving forward?
Yeah, financial literacy, first of all, you have to have financial literacy before you can even start thinking about investing in a stock. You should understand the value of a dollar. You should understand what it means to save. You should understand what it means to spend. When I was a teacher, I used to order papers for my students, and
You did that.
I did it out of
You
my
went
money.
above and
I went
beyond.
above him. That's why I told you, I used to bring stuff in to teach more accurate history. But one of the things that I did was we read the stocks. I taught them how to read the
And how
stocks.
long ago was this?
This was, I used to teach. I stopped teaching that long ago. I stopped teaching in 2001.
You said that long ago.
But
Gotcha.
I brought in newspapers. I had newspapers, and we used to read the newspapers, and I taught them about the stocks so that they understood. I taught them how to write checks. I taught them about how to open a bank account. Those are the things that our young people have to be reintroduced to. They were once in our schools. There was a reason why they were taken out. I think there's a system in place that only want us to be consumers.
If you are elected, would you support a curriculum that has those elements incorporated into, I guess, the founding? How about this? The curriculum that has the main subjects, science, math, whatever. Could financial literacy also be the standard now? And would you support a curriculum that would incorporate that?
You know, I chair higher appropriations, and I've had hearings on making sure that we have financial literacy in our schools. So this is something that I've been working on since I've been in Springfield as a small business chair. But as the chair of higher ed appropriations, where I have the responsibility of $3.2 billion, I actually had hearings, and I appointed Debbie Myers Martin, state representative from the South Suburbs, as the chair of a financial literacy committee so that we could hold hearings for that. So I believe in it. There's no way you can expect young people to just become financially literate without teaching them.
Yeah, you often hear, schools didn't teach me that. I wish schools would
Yes.
have taught me this. They taught me, it's- information that didn't even apply. Like in real life, no one really taught me about credit. No one told me any of that. And I went away to college and I got a credit card, and now I'm in debt with credit
Yes.
card and no one teaches them that early on. And so you already sitting on committees and you're working on that. You got that in obviously in your mind because as a teacher, you saw that there was a gap.
Yes.
Moving forward, if elected, and I know you said that this is something you want to work on, but if you could kind of just drill down a little bit more and just in real time, are there particular steps that you would take outside of the committee, right? Or maybe it is the committee and adding on different layers to it that we could begin to actually entertain that in some of the schools in real time?
You know, one of the responsibilities of government is to partner with community-based organizations. The schools can't do everything. There is not enough time in the school day to make sure that you could stay on task with the state requirements. So right now, you would have to, one, work with the state to change the state standards, the objectives. That has to happen, and it happens on the state level. And because states have rights and the federal government don't infringe, well, most of the times, or in ordinary times, the federal government don't
I like the way you
infringe
phrase.
on state rights. So, but what you can always do as a congressperson is make sure that you deliver money back to your district
There you go.
so that you can partner, so that I could work with the General Assembly, tell the Speaker of the House, the governor, look, I have $10 million for financial literacy that I need you guys to fund our schools so that they can do what you call um, contracts with community-based
Back to the
organizations to come
contracts
in and
again.
teach. Yes, it's where it's at.
Okay. I am full. I literally did not know the depth of you, LaShawn. I've done my research. Of course,
Yeah.
we've met and all of those great things. And yes, you're personable. But having these conversations with you right now, it has really opened me up to really get to understand your heart. And you really do have a heart for the people.
Absolutely.
And you're very strategic in how you're planning it, and how you're going about making some of the things that you want and the deficits that you see in the communities, how to solve that.
Yes.
And so you've been a state representative for so many years, 19 years, and now you're moving on to Congress. You've decided to throw your hat in there. What made you want to do that? Because, now correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're not elected, you also lose your state rep.
That's right. It's all or
So
nothing.
for you all, and I know a lot of people may or may not follow, and if you do, that's great, but not everybody is not understanding how important this race is for you particularly.
Yes.
Because if LaShawn does not win, he loses his seat as state representative. That means that that's it. There's
That's it.
nothing else.
That's it.
Someone else would have his seat. It's not like you can lose and say, "Well, I'm gonna
go back."
I could go back, so I'll
No.
just throw my hat in and see what happens."
Yeah.
You're risking it all.
I'm risking it all.
For someone to risk it all in this manner, in such a time like this,
Yes.
with this administration, what's your why?
The why is there is an opportunity to represent more people and unite a district for the good. I mean, you have a 7 congressional district that goes south side, west side, western suburbs, and downtown, financial district, medical district. That is an opportunity to unite the haves, the have-nots, the blacks and the whites, the south and west side, the western suburbs together. That's a great opportunity to have. And I know that if elected congressperson, I could do that. And when you don't just unite them just because you say you unite them, but you unite them for the good of the district. You will unite them so that our schools are better. We're on one accord, and we unite to fight together for the 7th congressional district. We got to have someone that's going to fight to make sure that our district is better than I found it. And that's me.
It's a leap of faith.
It's a leap of faith. And as my mother said, if it's for you, it's for you. And no one could take away from you what's meant for you. And so if God wants me to be the congressperson, regardless to how much and how we fight in this race, I would be the congressman if I do the work.
Absolutely, because faith without action
That's
is
right.
dead.
That's right.
All right, so listen, we're going to do a flash round really quickly. Okay, let me get my. Now I'm actually going to stay.
Is this yes or no?
This is a yes or no, or maybe so. We'll see. So, okay, I need quick answers.
Okay.
And I need the first thing that comes to your mind.
Uh-oh.
Ready?
Yes.
Let's go. One bill you respect, even though you didn't author it.
I think I respect the right for women to choose what they want with their body.
Oh, that was great. Listen, I hope you wasn't saying that because I'm a woman.
No.
And, I'm a girl's girl. So
you know why? It's on my
me.
mind. Roe versus Wade, 53 years just passed yesterday. And to think that I have a daughter right now that's 21 years old, going to be 22 years old, and for her to live in the world, in a country where she doesn't have a right to choose what she wants to do with her body, I'm proud to have voted for that bill.
You know what? We could just wrap this up. That was good. No, I'm just playing. I was like, that was good. Okay. A leader you study.
Dr. King, Mandela. Those are the ones that let me tell you, I actually named a street after Mandela and Muhammad Ali. You know, Muhammad Ali was a cold-blooded man. He
Absolutely.
believed in his people.
He sure
It's
did.
unbelievable. If you haven't watched Dr. King, he wasn't. I mean, if you haven't watched Muhammad Ali, watch the documentary on him. He was in the room for us.
Yes, he was.
So
Yes, he
we
was.
gotta. I changed two streets. I changed Roosevelt and I changed Cicero. Cicero is Mandela, and Roosevelt is Muhammad Ali, and they meet on Roosevelt and Cicero.
Thank you for doing that. I was
Yes,
wondering because
and
I've
you
tried
seen
texting.
it, and I
Yes.
also changed part of the highway 55 to Barack Obama Highway. That's
Come
me.
on. That was you.
That's me.
You see what I'm talking about, you all? It's him. So you're
Yes.
behind that.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm glad I was able to say it on your show.
All right. All right. The hardest part of public service.
The hardest part of public service for me is not being able to snap my fingers and get it done.
Me too.
That's hard.
Me too.
Because I know it should happen, and patience. It is difficult to justice move slow, and we have to stay in the fight,
That's
and we
good.
have to make it work. And so it's very difficult when I see people in a struggle, and I can't fix it.
I like that. And that's true. Justice does move
Yeah.
slow. One misconception about Congress.
Well, one misconception about Congress, I would say, is that they do nothing.
Ooh. Ooh.
And I think
Give
that,
me an example.
I'm so happy that we know how much Congress does by the fact that we see what we're losing from Congress.
That was a brilliant answer. I love how you spent that because that is true.
Yeah.
Okay. A habit you're working on.
Sugar.
What's your favorite? Sugary
lemon heads.
Oh my God, I love lemon heads too. And apple heads.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. I want some of those now.
Now
you put it in my mind.
Yes, let's say no.
Well, let's say a little bit. Like
once you eat them,
it's kind of hard to stop in that little box. And
yes.
You're just like, yeah. No.
Yes. I'm gonna introduce you to the lobbyists from Ferrara Candy, and you could take your group to tour it, and you could get.
And I could get as many apple heads and lemon heads I want.
And they got the new lemon head strings.
Not the lemon head strings.
You could get it
about those?
Because I went to the factory. You want to go?
I do.
I'm gonna make sure you get in there.
Oh, it's about to go down.
But you got to take your son.
I'm gonna take my son and the youth that I mentor. I'm gonna take my group.
All right.
Okay. What keeps you grounded?
Oh, the Lord. I mean, I know that I'm nobody. I'm just somebody that God is using, and I'm saying I want to do your will. So there's nothing.
Amen.
I mean, what I got?
Amen.
Who am I?
You're like, I'm just a vessel.
I'm just a vessel.
Amen.
I mean, as an elected official, to me, it's a job, and it is not a status. And so, I mean, what am I?
I mean, and you know what? Being a public servant, elected official, it could be very grimy. Someone told me the other day that was on the show, and she was like, it could be grimy. It's not pretty.
That's not pretty.
It's not pretty. If you have to door knock, you have to ask for money. You got to do it's not.
But you realize that, when you have questions and that there's so much to do, and you're fighting. It's hard for me to even celebrate the things that I've done because there's just so much more that need to be done. Mm-hmm. And so to throw in people's face that I've passed 100+ bills, that's great. But how am I going to pay my light bill? So I could actually talk about all the stuff that I've done, but there's still too much more to do to make sure that our people are able to afford to live.
Absolutely. And I think that was the premise. The crazy part is, like I told you, I had all of these, questions. And what you all don't know is that I pray my shows in. So I pray before I open up the show, and I really let the Holy Spirit just lead. And tonight was a show about that being
Yeah.
a vessel. How did you know that you wanted to be a public servant?
Well, I would say that that's been my whole mission. I mean, I started out as going to seminary to be a priest.
Really?
And then I transitioned,
Did you all know that?
and then I
Did they know
transitioned.
that?
I don't know. Did y'all know?
Oh my
And
God.
so I did not do that. I did a year in the seminary to be a priest, and then I went on to be a teacher. So everything that I've done um, has been service. And so I'm just grateful for being chosen by the people to serve for 19 years. I know that you talked about childcare. That's been a great fight. And I'm so proud of the childcare industry that I've been able to stand with, and they've been able to push hard. They push so hard, that the Supreme Court heard their push.
Look at that.
The Supreme Court said that the president cannot freeze the childcare funding. So they have to keep the fight on. That's the only way democracy works.
Absolutely. Is America strong enough to tell the truth about itself?
America is strong enough to tell the truth about itself, but the people don't want the truth.
The-
America is a country that's strong enough to tell the truth, but the people got to tell the truth. I mean, we can't be afraid of the truth. That's the problem that we're having right now with the Trump administration. And your show is about the truth. We have to elect truth tellers. You can't be afraid, as you said, to make people uncomfortable. If they're uncomfortable, then they need to check themselves, because if you're telling the truth, sometimes the truth make you uncomfortable.
Absolutely. And it also will set you
It will
free.
set you free.
Is historical discomfort, I didn't plan this, but it worked out.
Mhm.
Is historical discomfort a price worth paying for democracy?
Absolutely. I mean, you can't shape a true democracy without it. You have to have it. That's what you have, and you leave the nation stronger for our future generations. So it's the price that we have to pay.
For the communities who don't really know you,
Hmm.
and that was sort of one of the main points I was driving home with this show, is for you to really show who you are for the people who don't know you. Now I'm gonna put my trusty hat on.
Okay, I've been waiting on that hat.
Okay, but it's gonna come
I
off.
wasn't even going to bring it up. I'm like,
Well,
do she say she a trustee or not?
so okay, on this show I typically don't, because I like to separate it, because this is the VANNguard Show. It's all about the people, and at the end of the day, some people are going to agree or not going to agree, but I feel like this is a safe spot. And so if I put my trusty hat on, then I become all about Westchester.
Yes.
And everybody know that when I put my trusty hat on, I'm 100% in, 10 toes down for Westchester,
Hmm.
for obvious
You
reasons.
should be.
Now, Westchester at large do not know who LaShawn is,
That's right.
but Westchester will be voting. So Westchester's watching right now. Tell Westchester, and I'm saying Westchester, Illinois, you all, um, who LaShawn is and why they should vote for you. What makes you different than before? And then the last question that I know they want me to ask you: how can you help the village of Westchester?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you the best. I think I'm the only person that's in this race that would actually say that I have worked with people across the levels of government that understand how government works, and understand that in order for me to be a effective congressperson, you have to work with every community, every leader in the community, and listen to the voices of the community. So as a congressperson representing Westchester, it's always going to be working with the elected and having town halls to work with the people to make sure that we actually understand the needs of Westchester and making sure that we deliver funds back to Westchester to help fund their infrastructure projects, to help them fund the police and fire, to make sure that they're able to fund programs and not have to levy new property taxes. That's what the federal government could do for Westchester. And that's my commitment to make sure that we reduce the reliance on local property taxes because we could bring money back to Westchester so that they don't have to levy new taxes for roads, bridges, schools, parks. That's what the federal government should be doing.
I so appreciate you saying that because honestly, that is one of the key factors and key issues when it comes to Westchester and what they're looking for
Oh,
is how can we have this partnership? How can we leverage funds to help some of our projects that are been outstanding? And then the town hall meetings are extremely important because one thing Westchester is known for is advocating for transparency, the residents. So we have residents that want town hall meetings. We want our, elected officials to be transparent and be present and actively listen, um, and just be available.
yes. I
You
got a
know,
history of it. And if you look at the history, I've had town halls since I've been in. Part of my mode of operation is town hall meetings. That's where I actually learned how to represent the community. One of the and I take constituent calls. So if I'm your congressperson, you're going to talk to me.
you hear that?
You're going to talk to
You
me.
hear that?
That's a
Okay.
guarantee.
I
Now,
need.
especially if you say I need to talk to the congressperson, then you're going to talk to the congress. That happens now as a state representative. If I could do all constituent services, I would do it all. But if it's something serious, I don't pass it off to my staff. I do prison transfers. I do SNAP benefit redeterminate. I do it myself.
Why?
My staff don't do it. I do it. If I have a family calling and they need help, I'm going to do it. Child care, if you just name it, I've done it, and I do it all the time. So that's a commitment to me. I would tell you that one thing that I've learned also is talk to a constituent in this race, and she gave me um, knowledge about people with disabilities. I need to know in Westchester the number of people with disabilities so that we can service them. We need to know that. What needs are unmet for our people with disabilities and our seniors?
And so what I'm hearing is that you are willing, and not only willing, you will. Not let's say willing, because willing is maybe, yeah, maybe you won't.
Oh,
You will. You're making this commitment to say, I am going to partner with you, not just to talk about funds, but then also talk about the social part of it, the
that's right.
social emotional, the social economical part. I'm going to talk with our constituents to get a better understanding of what residents need overall.
That's right. And I need the mayors, the trustees, and the villages to come to Washington to meet with the leadership, to meet with the
Are you
speaker.
inviting me?
I'm inviting you.
You hear that?
I'm
Because
telling you,
I will be
you
there.
will be there, and
I will be
you
there.
must come because I need the Speaker of the House. I need the the people that I work with to understand who I represent and why I'm fighting for what I'm fighting for in Congress. And so this is a partnership that we must have in order to serve the 7th congressional district. So we have to have our aldermen. We have to, you know how many governments are in the 7th congressional district that we can unite to make sure that
Absolutely.
we secure the bag for our
Absolutely.
communities.
All we
We
have to do
have
is
to
come together and
come
unite.
together.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we're just about done. So I'm going to take off my trustee hat. But before I do,
Oh,
I just want to tell you thank you on behalf of the village of Westchester for being so open and transparent. You hit on everything that is a need. Westchester is a strong community. We're small, but we're strong. And we're just average Americans, working families that care about schools and care about our kids and will just put food on our tables. And we just want to make sure that we're heard and we're not forgotten and that we're included and that we matter. So thank you so much for that.
Well, thank you. And I hope, can I just say, if you give me a chance to represent you, you could vote me out if you don't like how I represent you. But I'm sure Westchester will be proud of their congressperson if I'm elected.
Okay, y'all, you heard it here first. And guess what? Westchester will vote you out too
Thank
because
you.
because Westchester do not play. So thank you all. Thank you for joining us on the VANNguard Show on Saturday night. I know you had other things to do, and I'm happy you tuned in here. And we will see you the next time. Thank you, State Representative LaShawn Ford. I appreciate you. And we'll see you soon. Peace.